Hey guys, welcome back to this channel. So in this video, I want to talk about how early are we? Now, something that's interesting, having been in this crypto game since 2017, is that I've experienced now two whole cycles. So this will be my third Bitcoin cycle. And something that really indicates whether we're early or not is really depending on how many normies are currently discussing in Bitcoin. I'm talking about people that are not into, this kind of alternative stuff. When they start talking about, Dogecoin and some random meme coins they heard about, that's usually your ticket to exit. And unfortunately, I wasn't as perceptive during those times, but it's something that I've been learning to pick up on now. And the reason why this is important is because we're at very confusing times. You see, we reached an all-time high earlier this year, and 2023 is not the peak year of the 4-year cycles, right? So, just to quickly explain, a year after the halving event, that is typically when Bitcoin goes into a parabola, and that's when you start seeing these crazy all-time highs. But we had an all-time high when there was a halving. We went to 72K, which was absolutely unreal, and then we got to a second all-time high. And we're still in 2024. The Bitcoin price went to 100K. So the question on a lot of people's minds is the top coming a lot earlier than what people expected? Like, is there going to be is the cycle top already in, or do we have like not a long way to go? Because if the cycle top is close, maybe we get to 120, 130K, in a couple of months. If we are close, if we're that close to the top, then that would imply that we're risking a lot of our capital by being over invested in a market that's actually very close to its end. But I want to give you some indicators that you can see that will show you that we are actually very, very early still, and we've got a lot of run left to go. So sometimes I like to use social media to get a normie indicator check. I don't really like to use Reddit as much because I think the responses aren't as organic. So I'm on 4chan right now, which is I'm on the Biz forum. Biz is a board that's pretty much solely dedicated to crypto degenerates. And you think out of all the people that would have the most people surrounding them that are into crypto, it would be people that are in crypto itself, because you tend to, birds of a feather flock together. So I find I'm just trying to get a very scientific indicator of how much how many people are actually into crypto right now. Let's read the first one. So the topic is, what are your friends, family, and coworkers saying about crypto right now? My mom texted me the other day. Sounds like Trump is being good for Bitcoin. Eye roll emoji. I came so effing close to selling everything, but as long as she's seething and not buying, I'll hodl. Let's see. Nothing. Most people I know feel like crypto is a Ponzi/scam and have mostly ignored it. Now, I want to remind you that we've reached all-time highs, 100K, and my experience is similar. Very few people are actually discussing crypto despite this massive historical precedent. We're still months, if not a year or two, from what I've seen. Some normies are aware of Bitcoin, Doge, and shit, but that's it. It appears normies still think they're smart for not investing for some reason. Thankfully, it seems the TikTok shitcoin scammer influencer market is unable to recover from 2022, which is slowing things down. It feels more genuine this cycle, like even the new poop coins feel like they have some soul and are fun. This is an interesting take because the social media influencers had a huge impact on the run in 2021, and most people got in with very little education. It was just a socially driven push, and a lot of these people got burned and are unlikely to get back in. I'll just read a few more of these so you can get the general idea. Let's see. The sentiment I get is that stocks are for serious people and crypto is fundamentally unserious. Not necessarily a scam, just not serious. Nothing but mainstream adoption will get normies on board. We are still so early. My coworkers are complete middle-class normies, and every time I mention Bitcoin, they go, "What?" I swear they haven't even thought about looking it up. There is massive potential untapped. Normies don't even know where to buy meme coins. I've seen it all over TikTok. Even talking to some friends, they think it's not on Coinbase, it doesn't exist. The normie mind has no idea what the hell is out in the blockchain. So I read the whole thread. I'm not going to read every single post, but most people still um, don't know that many people that are into Bitcoin and stuff like that. So as far as the normie chat goes, most of what would be considered retail have not entered into Bitcoin. And as I mentioned, the parabola usually comes when the uneducated normies, the unwashed masses. Sorry, I don't mean to be crass, because we all started somewhere. I want to use this chart as an example. This is the Google Trends results for the search. Sorry, this is Google Trends in regards to the Bitcoin search term, right? So it peaked in 2017. That's when I got in. That's when I was an unwashed part of the unwashed masses. I didn't fully get in. I bought into some ICO crap. Lost a bunch of money, made money, lost money. And it hasn't really recovered that peak. And what's fascinating is that the price of Bitcoin has only continued to rise, even though normie interest has essentially been decreasing over time. And I'll explain why this is in a moment. But as you can see now, we are at a 43 out of 100 in terms of Google Trends search results. Yet we are at all-time highs. $100,000 is such a huge benchmark. It's historic in crypto. This is going to be something that is going to be etched into a plaque in a museum somewhere, in the future. And no one really cares compared to the last cycle where we topped out at 60K. And people care, normie retail investors care even less than back in 2017. So this shows just how early we are. So the question is, if there is less interest in Bitcoin, why is the price continuing to go up? And that is because of institutions. It is increasingly the case that the price is going up not because of retail investors, but because of institutions. And this is where big money comes in. And this is how, even though Bitcoin is at a 2 trillion market cap valuation, this is how it can still do a 5x, a 10x, go to $1 million, $2 million over the long term. I'm not certain about this cycle, but the only way that we can have Bitcoin go from 2 trillion to 20 trillion and overtake gold is if institutions and even governments start stepping in. So let's talk about what's going on in just the current news. And this is stuff that flies under the radar for most normies. Amazon urged to buy Bitcoin as Microsoft shareholders consider BTC proposal. The National Center for Public Policy has recommended Amazon convert at least 5% of its assets into Bitcoin right as Microsoft considers its own BTC move. Now, this article is a couple of days old, and the most recent news is that Microsoft rejected that. The joke by Justin Sun on Twitter is that the price of Bitcoin wasn't high enough for Microsoft for them to get tempted to buy, But that's not going to be the case for all of these large companies, And Amazon, who knows how much money they have? They probably have a couple of $100 billion, right? So a $5 billion coming from there would not be so crazy. I think MicroStrategy has really changed the game. It looks like it's heading into the NASDAQ 100, and it's no longer some obscure company for these large institutions. For these large companies, it looks like more and more of them. Oh, and it's not just MicroStrategy. Let's not forget Blackrock is a serious investor of Bitcoin. And all the institutions now combined, their total Bitcoin holdings are larger than Satoshi's wallet himself. So institutions are huge, and it's these really significant institutions that are playing a big role. And I'm sure that they are talking with other large companies and convincing them about Bitcoin. And it's different to 4 years ago and 8 years ago where this stuff was obscure, it was only for random schizos of the internet. But now when you've got large companies like BlackRock, like MicroStrategy getting into Bitcoin balls deep, it's only a matter of time before Amazon. And if not Amazon, it'll be Tesla. Oh, sorry, Tesla already owns Bitcoin. Elon Musk owns Bitcoin. So how long is it going to be before more and more of these companies get involved? And a lot of these companies like Microsoft are the kind of trend followers. So there will be a critical mass that's going to be reached when enough of these large companies go into Bitcoin, and the bandwagon followers, they're going to get in eventually, right? So how long is it going to be before um, most of these major companies start going in, right? And we've already seen that that is the case. And I want to quickly point out the fact that let's look at the Bitcoin inflows. Here we go. If we look at the spot inflows, look at how many Bitcoins are flowing in. It is crazy the amount of institutional adoption that's been going on. And just on a separate note, on a side note, if we compare the past 2 months, past two or so months compared to earlier in the year when these ETFs started, you can see that there are the outflows have essentially stopped. The backstory is that Grayscale, which was the largest institutional holder of Bitcoin, they've been selling off massive amounts in the beginning as a way to like unburden their debt, because apparently they were overexposed to the FTX collapse and the other controversies of 2022. But as I was saying in previous videos, this selling pressure would eventually stop. They would eventually start running out of Bitcoin to sell. And as you can see, it's all upside. There's basically hardly any outflows. It's just all inflows. And the biggest buyers are, it's not even, these more obscure things like Arkham and, Grayscale. It's, BlackRock. It's these huge institutions with massive political and economic power. They're starting to buy it. I mean, if you're a large corporation right now, would you seriously not be paying attention to the fact that BlackRock is getting in? And I was reading an article by Arthur Hayes. It was a bit different to the topic that I'm discussing now, but he makes a really an important point, where the reality is that most companies, individuals are still very much groupthink orientated, and they will make decisions not necessarily because they're good ideas, but simply because people who have the social proof are buying them, right? So people would rather give the funds to be managed by a guy that went to an Ivy League school, has experience at some of the top largest, merchant investment banks, whatever, rather than giving it to some guy who doesn't have those credentials. So credentialism is still a very important factor, and especially when it comes to money. Most people and companies still aren't going to go do their own research and think for themselves. They're waiting for big players to make the moves, and then they're going to start buying up bags, and then there will be exit liquidity, right? That's what you get for following the crowd. But regardless, that's just how the game works. And as we get more and more big players coming in, the more and more people are just going to follow, and we are at this critical mass stage, I believe. Let's look at MicroStrategy real quick. MicroStrategy shares could surge even higher if added to NASDAQ 100 on Friday, crypto analyst says. So basically, MicroStrategy, if they get into the NASDAQ 100, they're going to be added to a bunch of index funds, right? Index funds are the basis for most of these retirement funds. These large funds throughout the world are going to inadvertently be investing in Bitcoin through MicroStrategy, because they're just going to be part of these large index funds all of a sudden. So it's going to change the game when Bitcoin gets into this stage, because you can't say that Bitcoin is not basically mainstream now, because it's endorsed by the establishment now. It's endorsed by institutions. And while myself as I consider myself as a crypto anarchist, I don't necessarily consider this a good thing. But if we're just going to talk about price, most people get in because of the price and who endorses it. So BlackRock advocates Bitcoin allocation for portfolios. And that's another thing. I mean, like most investment institutions, they need to create bag holders. So if BlackRock's going to buy, tens of billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, it would make sense for them to use their influence, not just on retailers, but also on other institutions, to say, hey, you should buy Bitcoin as well. Why not? It's going to pump their own bags. The asset management giant proposes up to 2% inclusion of Bitcoin to diversify traditional investment strategies. How loving of them. How nice of them to help their fellow investors. I mean, at the end of the day, they need to create exit liquidity. So you can't say they're saints, but regardless, you can't deny that this advocacy is going to have a huge impact. And it's not just happening with institutions. FOMO is happening at government levels internationally, but most importantly with the US. Now, I could never have guessed that 4 years ago when we were celebrating the first Bitcoin nation in the world, El Salvador, I never could have guessed that it would have jumped so quickly. Some people predicted it. I certainly didn't. I thought it would be like, first we get El Salvador, and then you get Honduras, then you get Central African Republic, then South Sudan, then you get Cuba, and then you get, Syria. Instead, it just went within one cycle straight from El Salvador to the United States. And it's unbelievable what this is happening at such a huge rate. Trump says the US is going to do something great with crypto. And I just want to quickly read some of the things. Trump's embrace of the crypto industry is a welcome pivot for digital currency investors from the stance of the current administration, which has notoriously contentious relationship with crypto business. And I just want to read some of the highlights. Okay, President-elect Trump says the US is going to become the global leader for cryptocurrency in his upcoming term. Trump's embrace of the crypto industry is a welcome pivot, yada yada. I just said that. That's huge. That is enormous. From what I've read about what Trump's policy is towards crypto, I don't know. It's not going to be like El Salvador where everyone's going to be forced to have like a lightning QR code, in their Starbucks or something like that, or in the local coffee shop. But he wants, there to be crypto innovation to be happening in the United States, which as of current, the United States is kind of a pariah in the crypto world. Like if you want to sign up to a lot of exchanges or Web3 protocols, it's like you cannot sign up to this exchange if you're from the following countries: Iran, North Korea, Syria, Venezuela, and the United States, right? Like it's kind of crazy, but it's funny because, the United States is where most of the innovation in the world happens. It's where most of the tech is going on. It makes sense for blockchain development and all these cryptocurrencies to be based in the United States, where it's kind of blocked off from. Trump is trying to get all of that business, to come back to the United States, where before it would have to be based in Seychelles, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, random countries in Eastern Europe like Lithuania and Estonia. He wants to bring it all back to the United States. And this is a huge advocacy. This is massive. This is huge. What's the other one? Cryptoverse banks. Trump's plan to eliminate the FDIC. Federal bank regulators may soon be on the chopping block. President-elect Donald Trump's team is exploring eliminating agencies like the FDIC, sparking a debate that could reshape America's financial landscape. I just need to read this real quick. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC, is the authority that keeps banks in check. It makes sure that your money remains safe even if the bank fails. The system was created after the Great Depression to build a secure banking system. People need to know their savings just won't vanish. Trump's idea to cut back on such oversight is bold, to say the least. During his term, he pushed to reduce bureaucracy, saying regulation holds back the economy. Trump's plan to eliminate the FDIC shows how committed he is to evolve the blockchain technology in America. His team argues that less regulation could boost innovation, especially in areas like cryptocurrency. DFIC secures banks, but this recent action shows they don't like cryptocurrency, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so, as someone that actually works in the industry, I've never even had a thought about doing some kind of business in America, opening up a corporate bank account in America to sell to crypto users there. I've never thought about it, like most of the people that I work in and around, they have their company based in Seychelles. They've got some kind of holding thing in like the Cayman Islands, and they have like a bank account in like Eastern Europe somewhere, or if it's like on a bigger scale like OTC, they're doing it in like Dubai and Hong Kong. And, all it takes is a one signature from a major person in that country to do or undo such regulations that will allow that to happen. And even for me personally, if they decide in America that they will accept crypto entrepreneurs like myself or others to go to America and start business there, heck yeah. Like, why wouldn't we do it? It's great, right? So this is a big deal. It's a huge deal. And on an international level, Russia weighs Bitcoin reserve as deputy warns sanctions leave crypto only instruments for trade amid Trump's pro-Bitcoin push. So we're not just seeing this on one isle of the world. Bitcoin looks like it's going to make further inroads into BRICS nations. And this is a big deal because, as according to this, 1/3 of the world under US sanctions. Now, they're on varying degrees of sanctions. The most extreme are Iran, North Korea, Venezuela of high severity. You've got medium severity ones, Russia, Yemen, Afghanistan, and all the way down here, you've got low severity, Somalia, Democratic Republic of Congo. But even here, you've got China. And by the way, I'm going to at least publicly remain neutral on such issues. I don't necessarily think that, North Korea, is a good guy and all this, and it would be great if they had financial freedom there as well. Or, China's on this list from what I understand because of, I'm pretty big into the China stuff. Supposedly there are, there's like a government there's like a militia that's basically government backed that runs all of the they're basically like a large monopoly in Xinjiang, and they get like all the slave labor or something like that. So like, I'm not saying that like, it's good that there's always ways around it, but I'm just saying that like all these countries are actors as well. They're not going to sit by passively and be not allowed to trade with the international market if there's a way around it. So as a result, it's not going to be surprised that all these countries and other BRICS nations who are very paranoid about the power that the US has to sanction them at any time, they're just going to become more and more inclined towards Bitcoin. And lastly, we've got on here, Donald Trump linked World Liberty Financial purchases 12 million in Ethereum, Chainlink, and Aave. That doesn't sound like a lot, but all of these add up to just an increase in amount of social proof. As I mentioned, most people aren't thinking rationally. They're thinking about, is this advocated by someone that I trust, someone that I think is smarter than me? That's all they're really thinking about. So the advocate, if you think about this on like in terms of like social media influencers, right? Like people were willing to buy all kinds of crypto crap because some social media influencer on YouTube or TikTok told them to back in 2021. If that makes a difference, and what difference, if that makes such a huge difference, then what about when some figures like Trump, Putin, Elon Musk, when they start at Blackrock, when they start getting into Bitcoin, that is when you're going to see everyone else do it. And then most importantly, retail is going to come in. They're going to FOMO in. That is going to be, unfortunately, I don't say this in any sardonic sense. I don't think this is a happy thing to be happy about, but they are exit liquidity, and they do tend to indicate the end of the bull cycle. And as I mentioned, we are so far away from that. The average normie is not even thinking about the things that I just mentioned. We are so far away from this going up and people starting to go, hey, like they're building there's going to be a Bitcoin reserve in the USA. They're doing the same thing in Russia. Blackrock, the people that basically own who have a monopoly on the real estate and every business in the world, they're buying Bitcoin. They're not even researching that, but they will eventually. And we aren't even close to that point. So believe me, we are not late. We are very, very early still. So guys, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I give daily updates, no nonsense advice about crypto, how to debank, and I help you guys buy cryptocurrency without KYC, because my aim is to help you debank by reducing your reliance on centralized financial institutions. And the way to do that isn't just through cryptocurrency. You've got to use certain tools like peer-to-peer cryptocurrency exchanges that'll help you buy cryptocurrency without KYC. And as we go into this bull cycle, there's going to be a lot of ways to make money. Almost all of them are going to be scammy. They're going to be related to some Ponzi scheme. As I've advocated in the past in my videos, one of the best ways to make money in cryptocurrency is through peer-to-peer trading. The general gist of it goes like this. On centralized exchanges, they only accept bank transfers or maybe Apple Pay as a way to buy Bitcoin using fiat. But what about all those people with PayPal funds? What about all those people on Revolut, TransferWise, SEPA? There are hundreds of different payment methods out there right now waiting to get into cryptocurrency, but they can't do it. So if you're essentially providing a way for people to buy cryptocurrency using their favorite payment method like TransferWise, Revolut, whatever, then you can charge above market price for your service. It's simple supply and demand. So if you want to sell Bitcoin above like 6% above market rate, then you should sell Bitcoin, for, I don't know, Revolut, for instance. When you receive those funds, you put it back onto the spot exchange, you buy back your crypto at for like a cost of like 0.1%. Nice little arbitrage. If you're interested in learning more about this, you can check out some of my other videos on my channel. I've got a lot of videos talking about this. And make sure to use my referral link in the description down below to get involved with HODL or local CoinSwap. These are two great non-custodial exchanges you can use to do that. Or if you want to do the same thing but with Monero, which is a very persecuted crypto in this day and age, it's very hard to get, then you could use my referral link in the description down below for BitPapa. It's really the last peer-to-peer exchange that you can use to buy Monero without KYC. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.